Hello, and welcome to another installment of App Marketers Conversations. I'm Ian Sefferman of Mobile Dev HQ, Ryan Morrell of Gamehouse, and Ruby Ganguli of App Tenov. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Well, good. This week we've been talking about it was actually a pretty solid week or two of announcements from interesting companies about mobile, right? So we talked about Amazon and Prime Data and Apple's release. We talked about F8. One of the other big announcements that happened yesterday or 2 days ago was an integration between Google Maps and Uber. And in particular, if you look for directions somewhere and you try to get walking directions, you can get the walking directions, or you can actually see how long it will take to get to where you want from an Uber. Click into the Uber, it will go straight to the app, and then you can hail an Uber from there. First reactions on this.
I think it's cool. Well, we just got done talking about app links and me saying I don't really get it. But this is a really good example of that and how I think it's interesting. It feels a little bit more like a PR-ish thing to me, maybe, and a user acquisition activity for Uber than anything else. But I think it's interesting from the perspective of we're at a point where we might start to see the conflation of services that can add value to each other.
Yep.
I mean, I think on the surface for consumers, it's kind of cool, interesting. At a lower level, an infrastructure level, it's really fascinating because part of the publicly talked about thesis of Google's investment in Uber was this whole logistics future that Uber wants to enable. And when you think about what's happening is that they're actually Google is connecting to another infrastructure provider that is trying to get into logistics, and it's taking the assumption of where you are and where you want to go and tying into Uber's data about availability of drivers and telling you end to end how long it will take to get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually really fascinating, right? Because imagine that going across other things Uber does, but then a bunch of other logistics providers as well from the Google
Shopping.
So
Yep.
Right. I mean, because we just saw something yesterday or 2 days ago that now, and I didn't even know this existed. The
Shopping
Google Express
Yeah.
or something
Oh, right,
is
yeah.
now in like Manhattan and LA,
Yeah.
and you can see some like an integration like that. Like, hey, we'll give you this in 10 minutes because
Yeah.
we've got this network infrastructure of people.
Yeah, that's right. I think this is, so for our audience in particular, I think this is really interesting from a search perspective as well. One of the things that Quixie has talked about with their app search is sort of providing this real-time framework for apps to, when a query comes in, for Quixie to ping everybody on this query, for those guys to come back with data that is relevant for this query. So good examples would be if you searched for reservation at a Thai restaurant in Seattle, it could go out to OpenTable. OpenTable could say, these 3 restaurants have these 3 times available for tables of 2, right? Or if you search for poker, Zynga could come back with their poker and say, we have a $1, $2 table open right now. We have a $5, $10 table open right now. And then you can build this in. And this actually feels like that first step to that from the Google side of the world, right? Which is like some sort of back-end integration between apps where if you give it the right data, it will come back with unique insights to what's going on within another app. Is that concept interesting to you guys? As a marketer, think about it from a marketer's perspective.
Yes, if I'm a marketer with a large development team and cash, like, I mean, because realistically, like, that world sounds really interesting to me. It also sounds really scary if I'm an independent developer because I won't be able to do that. It'll be extremely hard to not only do that from a technical perspective, but these are BD deals, really, right? And so I think it'll make it difficult.
Though interestingly, you could think about how app links solves that without BD.
In some cases, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to get my indie app integrated into Google Maps so the Google Maps users see it, right?
Sure.
I mean, at scale, like big scale people are going to want to partner with other big scale people, and those will happen on an API level, but the decision won't be on an API level, right?
Well, I mean, I think it is interesting if this is a direction that continues to expand, right? So, long time ago, on this thing called the PC, you used to be able to use an app, and that app used to be able to use the operating system to pull data from other apps. And then this
There were things called files that people stored.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't do that now on mobile, right? So, if this takes us back to something like that, that would be awesome. That would be helpful. I don't think many consumers understand how much functionality they've lost as they've gone to the mobile device in terms of just sharing of data on their device. Like, it's totally locked.
That's true.
But is that are you sure that's bad? Right? So let's pretend like that all of that had been enabled 5 or 6 years ago when smartphones really started to take off. Would the trajectory of smartphones have been the same? Like, I would almost argue that what makes smartphones and mobile so explosive and so unique right now is how simple it was for users to do what they really cared about.
Well, I think that's true, but I don't think that has to be exclusive from getting the ability to have one app talk to the other.
Yeah.
This is also the promise of the cloud, right? And it's like, that's what everybody is like, the cloud is going to solve all of these problems. No, it doesn't, right? Or at least it hasn't. It has the potential to, but it certainly hasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Other things that you guys think marketers should be thinking about in terms of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this, from a gaming perspective, like, marketers have long been doing cross promotion. Like, let's go find other games that we can connect into, and this is a deeper integration of that, right? And so, like, what other things can we do to drive brand awareness, IP awareness in other games, right? So you can see scenarios where, let me think of a good, like Rovio and Angry Birds. Like, does it make sense for another company to sponsor an Angry Bird, and put that in Angry Birds and have it clickable and linkable into their game? Like, that's a unique marketing experience for a consumer, and the types of things that are going to raise awareness for games without just like interstitials and ads.
Yeah, I think especially if you're a big aggressive marketer who's been doing mobile for a while, if you weren't already making phone calls and thinking about ways you could do something like this, now your world is open to, like, maybe I could call Apple and say, hey, Apple Maps doesn't have this.
Right.
What can we do something together?
Yeah.
Maybe I could go call Rovio and say, hey, let's think about this a little bit differently. There might be a moment in time that we've just passed that says, oh, my framework for thinking about BD on mobile is different now.
Okay. All right. Well, that's certainly a lot to think about. It seems like we're all sort of in agreement that this is like, we just had the first pitch of the season. Maybe we're still in spring training on this stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a long way to go, but it's definitely interesting stuff to think about. So thanks for watching. Make sure to watch the other installments, subscribe to this channel, and like our videos. Thanks.